If you guys have clicked on this video, you probably have already read the title, but the truth is, sometimes I wish I wasn't an equestrian. Unfortunately, the horse world can lead to a lot of burnout, and I want to talk about some of those issues in today's video. Now, quick little disclaimer here. I am so incredibly grateful for this life. I am so blessed to not only be in the horse world, but to be able to own horses in itself is a massive gift. And I am incredibly lucky to have a family that fully supports my passion. I love horses, and honestly, if I didn't, I probably wouldn't have them anymore. This is just a video sharing some of the hard points of the horse world and letting others know that you're not alone. And if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Shay, and on this channel, I talk about my Mustang Penny, horse training, and a little bit of horsey educational content. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, I feel like I have mentioned this a lot lately, but back in my 2024 recap video, I talk about my recent diagnosis of adenomyosis. The symptoms for this disease, illness, whatever you want to call it, has been absolutely brutal. Between that and my history of depression, there are definitely days that I feel physically unable to get to the barn. I might wake up feeling like crap, whether it's physically or mentally. I might see the rain outside and think, I just can't handle the rain on top of everything else going on in my head today. But the best way I have learned to combat this is kind of figure out what level I'm at that day. Is this something that I really need to prioritize a huge rest day for? Or is this something that I could give it a couple hours, get some food in my system, and maybe sneak out to the barn for a little bit? Another thing to think about is if that trip to the barn that day is truly a necessity, or if it's just something that I felt like I needed to prioritize out of guilt. Really looking objectively at what you have going on and looking at yourself from an outside perspective can really tell you if you need to take a day off or if you just need to get your foot out the door. Obviously, one of the biggest issues when it comes to horses is how freaking expensive they are. We've all heard that saying that the cheapest part about owning a horse is the horse itself, and that is completely true. When I think about it on a regular basis, sometimes I look at the amount of budgeting that we're doing and I'm going,
wow, I could have so many cheaper hobbies.
I'll tell you what, crocheting is nowhere near expensive as upkeep of horses. When we start to add all of this up, there's board, there's farrier, there's vet, there's grain, there's supplements, there's all these things that comes into going into the horse's care. And sometimes it is so hard to keep up with all of it. But I'll tell you what, the absolute biggest game changer when it comes to helping your finances with horses is budgeting. And I don't just mean going, yeah, I think it's gonna cost this much, this much, this much. I mean going through your statements and seeing where all of that little spending is biting you in the ass. Because trust me, the amount of Red Bulls that I've bought probably could have paid for like a vet visit. Another thing that can be helpful is side hustles, whether that's involved in the horse world or not. Maybe you could start giving lessons if you have that level of knowledge. Maybe you can train for people. Maybe you could start a YouTube channel. You could start another social media platform to just help give that little bit of boost so that you can focus on your sport. Now, this one is a little challenging because time is limited. Time is a finite resource. We only have so much of it to be able to use in a day. And my trips to the barn are regularly at minimum 2 hours, an hour to be there, an hour total of driving. But that is minimum. Most weekend days, if I don't have my kiddo with me, I'm at the barn anywhere from 3 to 6 hours, including drive time. And that can make it really hard on your relationships. My relationship with my kid, my relationship with my husband, part of that is sacrifice so that I can spend time at the barn. And that's not to say that we shouldn't be taking time as parents for ourselves, but more so working on that scheduling ahead of time so that you can prioritize certain things throughout your week. A huge thing for me lately to be able to combat a lot of my issues with time is scheduling and planning. I have all sorts of planners, habit trackers, calendars everywhere to organize anything that I can in my life. It really helps to see where the priorities are in life, where they should be, and it helps to track things like Penny's progress. Now, this point might be a little bit selfish. I'm sure that people will think that, but planning for vacations when you have horses it's just not easy. Most of our vacations, because we're military, consist of going to visit family. And luckily, I'm very fortunate that we can do full care board where Penny's just taken care of and I don't have to worry about it. But there are a lot of people that keep their horses at home, and you have to find someone to be able to watch your horses for you to be able to go take that time to go visit your family. Another thing to consider is when you go on these trips, it's not just a break for yourself, but it's also a break for your horses. And sometimes that can be a great thing. Sometimes that can be a not so great thing. When we're thinking about training and training schedules, sometimes taking anything longer than a week can kind of set your horses back. And not that everything should be about time and getting things done in a certain amount of time, but it does make it a little bit harder to get back into the swing of training. You lose not only the mental conditioning, but a little of the physical conditioning as well. Now, a big way to fix this for me is just having people come to us. You want to visit, you can come to us. We already are moving across the country every couple of years, so we prefer if people can just come here so that we can still go about work, we can still go about normal life, but have that time with valuable family members. And if you don't full care board, maybe that's something that you got to look into if you're wanting to do more trips than, let's say, a week at a time. This one is really about you, your family, and your needs. If your budgeting allows it to go board your horse for a while at a boarding facility and then bring them back home, that might work for you. That's something that's just kind of, that's on you. The last one I have is a little hard for me at the moment. Those of you that don't know, I put my other mare down fairly recently, and so this topic is a little hard. Anyone with horses knows that sometimes you have to be an advocate for your horse, and it can be really, really hard when it comes to vet and farrier visits to really determine what is right for your animal. Choices that sometimes feel impossible. And that's recently what I had to do with Sage, and it absolutely sucked. And it was probably one of the most eye-opening reasons as to why to not be involved with horses anymore. Other hobbies like crochet, I don't have to worry about being an advocate for a crochet project. I don't have to worry about euthanasia for something that isn't alive. So it's just hard to have that be a part of the horse world. And unfortunately with this one, there isn't really a fix. There's budgeting for vet and farrier, but other than that, the emotional part, you have to just figure out how to get through it. And it sucks. Let me tell you, it sucks. But really, having good vets, having good farriers, having a good support system around you can make the world of difference. Now, this all to say, I still love horses. I love riding, I love training, but it all just gets to be a lot sometimes. But the important thing is to analyze the situations that we're in. Is it something temporary? Can we move past the issues? How much enjoyment is there to be had, not only for myself, but for my horses too? Most of the time, we can move past those valleys of hardships. It just takes climbing the mountain one step at a time. Because honestly, most of us that are involved in this horse world try to imagine a life without horses, and we just can't. It's a part of us, a part of our soul. And I am so incredibly grateful for that. If you like this video, feel free to check out one of my last ones that talked about some of the issues that I have in horse training, specifically the positive reinforcement training sphere. In the comments down below, let me know if you've ever been burnt out with horses and how you've moved past it. Feel free to like, subscribe, ding the notification bell, do all the things, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.